Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Advanced Bass Fishing, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to spend some time with me on the video. And at the time of filming this video, it's the first part of May, and we are getting into the prime topwater season. I think that probably May and June have some of the best topwater fishing of the whole year. And what I wanted to do in today's video, I want to talk about the best conditions as far as weather conditions to fish topwater lures. It's not as simple as what a lot of people think. A lot of people think, oh, you need to throw topwater early in the morning or on cloudy days, which are good times to fish them. But there's a lot of different conditions that different type of topwaters work in based upon the type of topwater you're fishing. So I sort of want to give you guys some good foundational tips and advice on, what topwaters to choose under the right weather conditions you're fishing. Also, guys, I will put all of my topwater links in the description of this video and my tackle warehouse links. I'll recommend some of my favorites here in the video. If you guys would like to pick up, if you using that tackle warehouse is a good way to support the channel. And also, guys, please check out my Solar Bat sunglasses link. The rest of this month, we have a Get Ready for Summer sale. 30% off on all my glasses there, including prescription lenses. So I'll put the Solar Bat link in the description of the video too, so appreciate that. Okay, first let's talk about the obvious here. Topwater fishing, people say rainy days, low light conditions, gonna be good topwater fishing. Yeah, that is true for some topwater lures. If you're fishing like topwater lures that are traditional, walking baits, buzz baits, poppers, and that type of stuff, and you do have the right water clarity, which is fairly clean water, like water visibility over 3 foot, a lot of times that is true. You're going to get more bites on a Spook or a buzz bait or a chugger or something like that if it's cloudy and you have clear water. But that is only one small part of the story, because a lot of it has to do with the cover that you have, and it has to do with the species of bass that you're fishing for that make some situations better than others. So let's talk a little bit about that correlation between all that. First of all, talk about the categories. Now, the walking topwaters, when you're talking about a walking topwater like a Spook or Spook or, Megabass Diamante, if you're fishing for largemouth and smallmouth bass, the best situation is going to be if you got clear water and low light conditions. That's number one. But if you're fishing for smallmouth bass with that same lure, like a Spook, smallmouth bass will bite better on a sunny day. So if you have a sunny day with, doesn't really matter what the wind is. I've caught them on windy days or, cloudy days both. But if you have that, if you have that situation, smallmouth bass will bite in all conditions, especially in the sunny conditions. It's just the personality of that bass. It's hard to explain, but that is one reality of that. Now, for buzzbait fishing has a lot to do with the water clarity. If you're fishing a buzzbait in water visibility that's anywhere between 2.5 foot or more, you're going to do better probably on low light conditions, especially if you're throwing that buzzbait on some type of a bare bank. But if you have water visibility that is more stained, like say 1 to 2 foot, and you're throwing it around some type of targets, a lot of times a sunny day is better for a buzzbait, especially if those targets have shade around it. So let's say, for example, we got water visibility of 1.5 foot, which is stained water. And then we have maybe some overhanging trees, or maybe it's 9 o'clock in the morning and there's some shade along the bank. You're going to do a lot better on a sunny day with a buzzbait in conditions like that than you will on a cloudy day. I think a lot of it just has to do with visibility, but that's one thing that I've noticed specifically, primarily for largemouth with that. Now, poppers, your chuggers, that type of stuff, definitely a low light condition bait. I've caught some fish on a chugger on sunny days, but normally those are schooling fish that are not paying much attention to the light intensity. But a chugger, for the most part, is a low light bait. It's just whatever it is about that bait, the characteristics of it. Now, there's some other baits out there, like let's say, for example, like a whopper plopper. A whopper plopper it creates a reaction strike from a bass, and a whopper plopper is one of those lures that will work in a diversity of conditions as far as the light intensity goes. A whopper plopper, I've caught them good on cloudy days on it. I've caught them good on sunny days on it. I've caught them good on windy days and on calm days. But again, a lot of it depends on the type of cover that you're fishing. If you're fishing thicker cover, the light conditions aren't quite as important. If you're fishing open banks, a little bit more important to have those low light days. But a whopper plopper is sort of like a buzz bait in terms that it creates a reaction strike from the loud aggressive noise. And a lot of times that reaction strike will, it'll overcompensate for the not having the right light intensity. In other words, you can have a sunny day or a cloudy day, and if the bass is in the right frame of mind, they're going to attack that thing simply because it's so obnoxious in the water. Now, on the other hand, if you have a bait that is like real slow moving, like maybe like a prop bait, like a Lucky 13 prop or a Devil's Horse, something like that, or maybe you're twitching a little Rapalamento, a floating Rapalamento on top, some type of bait like that moves really slow through the water and sits there for a while in the water, that's definitely another low light condition bait. But that low light condition can also be for sunny days too if you have heavy shade. Now, what I'm talking about, for example, let's say you're fishing an open water grass flat where the grass is like a foot or so under the water and the wind's not blowing much and you're throwing a prop bait or a little Rapala. You've got to have clouds. That's just going to be the best scenario for that. But say, for example, you and I were floating a creek or floating a river and you took one of those prop baits, it's bright sunny out, and you cast it underneath like an overhanging tree that's got some shade on it. That shade can act as a low light condition as well in a real isolated area, and that sometimes that'll work pretty good for it. Now, other baits like that, say for example, if you're fishing thicker cover, like you're fishing a topwater frog or one of those buzz toads, throwing it over lily pads or throwing it over, hydrilla or some type of matted grass on the surface, a lot of times it's going to be better on a sunny day because there's already enough low light. If a bass is living underneath a lily pad or in some grass like that, they don't have to have a cloudy day. So it actually helps if you have sun, if you're fishing over matted vegetation, because the fish can see the bait a little bit better, and they're not turned off by the bright sunlight conditions on a bright sky because they have shade underneath them. So that's another characteristic with that. And there's some other baits that are sort of subsurface, like a fluke or floating worm, stuff that you work just barely under the surface, maybe a swim jig. All those type of subsurface / topwater baits that actually create a boil when the fish hits it, those are always going to be better during low light conditions. I mean, that's just the characteristics of it. So anyway, guys, the main thing just to remember in the video is that you basically have to listen to the fish what they want. I mean, that's always the bottom line in fishing. But just remember, there are some topwater lure categories that work better under certain conditions, some that don't, and you just sort of have to feel it out and see what the fish want day in and day out. But anyway, guys, I'll go back and I'll link some of my favorite topwater lures that I like for this time of year in my description, Tackle Warehouse link, if you guys like to pick a few of those up. And hope it helps you guys catch a few, and we'll check in.